Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 2 of I am recording myself every day until I like it. This video we're going to be talking about why I stopped telling people my plans. Now, when I say people, I mostly mean people in my inner circle, in my family, friends, real life. And the reason for that is probably not the reason you think. So firstly, when you're considered a self-titled serial entrepreneur, meaning someone who starts a lot of businesses, you go through a lot of business ideas. And for me, that's a lot. And it's the same cycle. Find an idea, get really excited about the idea, research the heck out of the idea, spend some money on the idea. And then when that first barrier to entry hits, or something becomes challenging or hard, or sometimes you run across something that wasn't even in your thought process of a law, or something that your state doesn't allow, or just kind of anything that kind of shakes you up a bit, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know this. Then it completely changes your perspective and your feelings about the business. And then it starts this downward cycle where you just kind of want to give up. The glamour has fallen off. It's harder than you anticipated, and you just give up. And that's been me. For the majority of my life, the majority of the businesses I've started, that has been my cycle. I started looking at the businesses with more scrutiny at that point. I started seeing the cons of the business. I didn't recognize, again, some of the things that could just pop up unexpectedly. And then the self-doubt starts to hit, and then you doubt your own self and, whether you should be in business at all. You doubt the plan, you doubt your research, everything just kind of just crumbles apart right in front of your eyes. And you mope about it for a minute. And then if you're anything like me, you just move on to the next business idea. You're just like, you know what, that didn't work out, but I know that I was destined to be a business owner. So you just move on to the next idea and you repeat the cycle, but you're always hoping that this idea is the last one. Like, this is the one that's going to change your life. So I kind of just want to make this video and show you guys kind of my path and kind of what I've gone through over the years, some of my failures, and how that all kind of ties into telling people what I do or what I plan to do. So I know I'm destined, or not destined, but cursed rather, with the shiny object syndrome, and this is kind of been an ongoing thing that I've, gone through just in general. And some of the businesses I wanted to go over with you guys are just some that I just kind of remember off the top of my head. I know I can't list off every single one because there's been a ton, but just some that I could think of. When I remember being a teenager, I remember like the first time I imported items from China. Like, I remember like wristbands were really in back then when I was in high school. And I remember like reaching out to a supplier on like Alibaba and asking them to custom make me some wristbands, and going back and forth with all of that, and then actually ordering them. And I remember the day that they arrived, and I was so excited and so happy about it. And then from there, nothing. Because I didn't know how to market. I didn't know this was before YouTube was YouTube the way it is. Back then, I want to say YouTube was like just like funny cat videos and stuff like that. It was like kind of the beginning side. Nobody did any marketing on YouTube. Matter of fact, social media was kind of young in general too. A lot of marketing wasn't done on there. You would have to create like a website and like, I don't know. Even to this day, back then, I don't know what the top marketing channels would have even been then. But that's what stopped me. That's what stunted me, is I didn't know how to market and sell my product. And on top of that, I was shy, and I didn't want to try to sell to my friends and family. I wanted to sell to strangers and, have a viable business. So that was one of the many early failures. I remember wanting to sell gift baskets. I remember one more recently, I tried to sell jewelry on Etsy. So I don't remember how the whole idea came about, but I remember wanting to sell a product. And I remember somehow researching and finding out that a lot of the top sales on Etsy is customized jewelry, like personalized jewelry. So I was thinking like, okay, well, how can I do this? I'm not necessarily crafty per se, but I can, find a way. Somehow I came along the route of laser engravers. And yes, your girl bought I don't know, it was maybe like $2,000 or $3,000 laser engraving machine. And I went to town making all this jewelry, all these pretty charms. And they were just like little gold charms. And they had the person's name on them in like different fonts, like different beautiful calligraphy, script fonts and stuff like that. And sometimes they had little like a heart on it or a star, something like that. They were really pretty. And I took all these pictures, all this video, and I made my listings on Etsy. I even ran a few like light ads and stuff like that on Etsy. I, gave some to my family members, and that was that. I, never tried to start a YouTube channel, and never tried to, sell there, and never tried to, make Facebook ads or, anything like those, because I felt like I'd already spent so much money that if I just keep digging myself into this more and more, then how much money is too much money? You get to a point as a serial entrepreneur that fails a lot or quits a lot rather. You get to this point where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable spending this amount of money, but I'm not, but there's a line where you start to get really worried and you're like, okay, well, there's no traction yet. So if I don't hit, any traction by this point or this dollar amount spent, then I have to reverse course. I can only bleed money for so long, that type of thing. And I remember thinking, and I was like, well, I have this machine. And I was like, one of the reasons that made me buy the machine, because I was like, well, worst case scenario, I should be able to sell it, right? And man, I got lucky because I did. I sold it for basically what I bought it for, honestly. So I didn't lose out there. My husband he didn't put me on timeout for that one. He was disappointed because he's always disappointed in my startups, and then I quit. He's mostly disappointed in the fact that I quit. He's super supportive of me and wants me to be great and follow my dreams, but he just gets frustrated. The same reason I get frustrated, because, again, if you start too many businesses and quit them all, then you're not going to get the traction that you need. So that's probably the most recent thing that I've done. One thing, I'll go back further actually. When I was, I don't know, in my early 20s, I want to say shortly after we got married, or were we already married? I forget. It was somewhere in that realm, back when we lived in LA. I'm not originally from LA. My husband is. I met him there in LA, and we actually met at CarMax when we were working, and he had a love of cars, and because I had experience with cars, sales specifically, and he had experience on the DMV side, the paperwork side of cars, and he was good mechanically speaking at cars, I came up with this great idea that we should start our own dealership. I mean, yeah, that's how big of a thinker that I can be. And this was, like I said, early on in our relationship, before my track record proved itself. And we did just that. It's actually not as difficult as you would think to start a dealership. Now in California, especially today, I don't know what it would be like today, but the laws, you just kind of have to, look at the law for what it states. Like, you don't have to have this big old car dealership. We literally started out of a warehouse. We had a buddy of ours, my husband's buddy. He actually owned a auto shop, and he rented like a bigger space, but it had like a divider space or whatever. And he basically rented us the other side of it because he wasn't using it. And we opened up shop. We had a sign, we had dedicated parking spots because it was like a warehouse and had its own like parking areas over there. And we passed, you have to go through like a series of steps in order to get your dealer's license. And we did everything that was required by the state of California to get our dealer's license, and we opened up shop. It was called OEM Automotive Group. And if you don't believe me, I have proof, because I did not just make this for the video. That'd be really silly. But this is the shirt. OEM Auto Group. This is what we wore to our dealership. Not every day, but it was just kind of one of our merchandise, our own merchandise to make us feel legit. And we sold cars. Now, just to let you guys know kind of the thought process, we actually were never wanting to sell cars, like regular cars, like Toyota Camrys and Honda Civics and all that. What we wanted to do is, because my husband is specifically a car guy into certain sports cars. So what we wanted to do is we were visiting auctions and we wanted to buy sports cars, not like Lamborghinis and stuff, but like the Honda S2000 CR, Neon. There's a couple. I'm not good at it. My husband knows all of these things, but like the 350Z, like certain like common everyday sports cars that like car enthusiast guys like. He's specific on the Japanese side, but he's open to both, like American and other stuff like that. But he likes the Honda sports cars and Toyota and all that good stuff. So that was really the initial goal. It was supposed to be more of like a boutique, not so much of a large dealership. We never wanted to have hundreds of cars or anything like that. It was supposed to just be like we source sports cars to sell to sport car enthusiasts, in other words. But things didn't go that way because when you're in business, you have bills to pay. So you take the low-hanging fruit. So we did eventually start buying, cheaper cars. I remember our first car, I think it was a Dodge Neon, a regular Dodge Neon. We bought it for like $500. And I was like, dude, like we could sell this for like $1,500, $2,000. And we did, and it was cool. And that was like our first sale. And that kind of gave us the momentum to like keep going and like, have this as our like bread and butter. But then at some point we'd never really pulled the trigger on like the enthusiast cars. And part of it was because when you have a dealership, you have like something called a flooring company, and your flooring company is basically your line of credit, like specifically for cars. So you can finance cars. Dealerships often finance cars. They don't buy them straight out. We were buying the really cheap cars straight out. But as far as the bigger ones, like we did run across a CR. And to this day, that's one of our biggest regrets not buying it. It was like a yellow Honda S2000 CR. And we could have bought it, I think, for like $25,000. And like we probably could have sold it for upwards of $30,000. And today, that same car would probably be close to like $50,000. It was like a low mileage one too. So not that we would have kept it this entire time, but I'm just saying like that was the whole point of the dealership initially. This initial concept was to get specialty, kind of more so rare cars. The S2000 CR is a really rare car. So nevertheless, we got into the rut of selling regular cars. Bills started to pile up because there's no consistency in it. It's not like you're making money every single day. And you have high overhead because cars cost a lot of money plus LA rent. Even though our buddy was giving us a deal, it still wasn't like free, So, overall, that dealership basically bankrupted us. Not that we had a whole lot to begin with, but the worst part is my husband had extremely, extremely good credit. I mean, high like 800s. And he got hit. He took the fall for us and got hit with that bankruptcy. And that was the end of doing business with my husband on that magnitude, as far as like any type of day-to-day operation. He I would say he's pretty scarred from that for a couple of reasons, of course, but I take responsibility for that. I've always felt really, really guilty about that. And I wish I could do it all over, but I can't. So plenty of lessons learned from that whole ordeal. For one, we really should have thought through, the whole concept of the business and the long-term effects of the business. So with that type of business, it would have never been sustainable for us or at least for a very long time. And when I say sustainable, the lifestyle that we want to live the whole goal is to buy our freedom. When you have a dealership or something along those lines, somebody has to run it. How many cars would we have to sell in order to hire someone to then run it for us? We would have been basically slaves to our own business for a very long time. And that's not what we wanted in the first place. Even though part of it would have been a hobby for my husband, being around those types of cars and mingling with those types of people, it's still, in the long run, it wouldn't have afforded us the retirement type of, lifestyle that we wanted. So that was just, that planning. And we were younger then too. So I didn't even have a lot of the concepts and things that I know today. don't even really, they didn't matter, didn't exist back then for me. So that's one of them. One of the big takeaways from the failed dealership. There's a lot of lessons there. And I'll probably go over them in some other future videos. But yeah, that, I'm trying to read through my notes here so I can know where to pick off from here. But yeah, I will say one of the things that I don't regret is that was really the funnest time in our lives from at least from a business standpoint. Running a business side by side with my husband was really, really, really fun. We got to go to auctions together. Auctions are really fun. It's hard to describe the atmosphere, but it was a good time. So it was good time. Like, there's not really bad memories in regards to that. But it's just the way that it ended was like, obviously a sour note. So, it is what it is. But fast forward, like, I don't know, 10 years later, and now we're both working regular 9-to-5 jobs. We do own some real estate now. So we at least have our nest eggs, starting to grow and build. So overall, to get back to the essence of the video, I stopped telling people in my life, at least, about my plans because mostly I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I didn't want people to see my failures and that I wasn't making real progress. Though I'm sure a lot of them see it anyway. But they don't, no one picks on me or no one takes like jabs or anything like that. Even though I did kind of recently hear something, my friend said something kind of like quickly. I forgot exactly what it was. It was something along those lines of you've been at this for like since high school or something along those lines. And I'm like, yeah, she's right. I've been, racking my brain, going through different ideas and wanting to make something work for a long time since I can remember. So I guess that is to a degree a part of my character now. But that's why we're here, right? We're here to break old habits and to truly, this time around, find success. So, yeah, that's the theme of this channel. Entrepreneurs motivating each other to pick a business and then take massive action. We'll stumble, we'll fall, we won't get it right. We'll run into something that we didn't anticipate. But we'll take the action and we'll just keep going and we'll keep going and we'll keep going until we win. So there's one more thing I wanted to talk quickly about, and it kind of counteracts this entire video a little bit. Because there's one area in my business life that I do still tell people about, and that's real estate. Real estate is kind of weird in that the more people you tell that you invest in what you do as far as being a landlord or whether you were a fix and flipper or whatever type of strategy that you do in real estate, it's actually best to tell as many people as possible that you do real estate, because the more people you tell, the more opportunities come your way. We've been able to purchase off-market deals, meaning the property wasn't listed on the regular MLS. We've had, agents reach out to us to let us know that there's, a rental property that we might be interested in. We've been able to take advantage of creative financing deals where the seller financed the house to us. We've been able to take advantage of, or actually we've been able to manage actually a few properties for a friend of ours who wanted to invest here in our local market as opposed to theirs because it was cheaper. And that generates us money as well. So sometimes it is a good thing to tell people what you're doing and what you're planning. Not necessarily planning, but more so when you're active. When you're active in a business, when you already obviously have a successful business or something that you're already doing and you have seen success, then that is when you want to be vocal. Obviously, you still want to be a little strategic on who you're vocal with. If you do have people in your life, unfortunately, who are not as supportive of you, or you feel like that kind of would want to hold you back or whatever the case is, then yeah, keep them at a distance as always, whether it's business-wise or personal-wise. But when you do have something that works, you want to be vocal about it at that point. But before then, you want to keep your head down, focus, and, and just do whatever it is that you're doing. So I just wanted to bring that little caveat there because obviously there is nuance in a business and in the particular place that you are in your journey. So that's it. That's all I have. I just wanted to make sure that I put that in there. All right. So no more quitting. We got this. You got this. I got this. And that's that. So real quick before we go, I did want to mention RecipeMuse. RecipeMuse is one of those businesses that I created recently using Lovable. Lovable is basically an AI platform that allows you to build SaaS companies or digital products basically by just like ChatGPT, just like typing out your idea and working through there, and it does all the coding for you. So you don't have to be a developer at all, but it will take your idea that you wrote in layman's terms and it'll basically create a product for you. And it takes you all the way through all the processes, including API and Stripe integrations and all that stuff. So you can actually take real payments from real customers literally within a matter of days. So RecipeMuse is one of those products that I built, and I built it mainly for myself, but I decided that, it's functional, it works, I might as well share it with everyone. So RecipeMuse is an app that allows you to save recipes from the ones that you create either using ChatGPT or ones that you find online. I personally create a lot of recipes using ChatGPT. I like to use it because I can make a recipe based off the calorie portion that I want to make, protein, things of that nature, or certain tastes and things like subbing certain ingredients for this ingredient. So I build my my recipe, and then I basically use a copy paste function and I import it into my recipe app. I take a nice little beautiful picture of of the food that I'm basically making, or like if I'm making orange chicken, for example, I'll find a nice looking picture of orange chicken, plug that in, and then I have this like nice looking Instagram reel of all the different recipes that I like, all saved in one place. So if you're interested in something like that, then I have the link in the description below. I also have the link in the description below for Lovable if you're interested in building your own type of SaaS. And that's really it. I'm happy to connect with you guys in the comment section below. If you have any questions for me, if you guys are ready to start your own businesses, I'd love to hear about what you're going through, or if you have any questions that I can answer maybe for you. And that's mostly it. If you guys got any value at all from this video, then go ahead and hit that like button. I really appreciate it. And consider subscribing if you're wanting to see this journey to how many ever videos every day uploaded, talking about my life experiences when it comes to business, talking about different SaaS businesses, different online businesses, offline businesses. I will be uploading some business idea videos. And other than that, guys, I guess I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.